I'm a girl living in Northern Europe. I won't go in too much detail where this happened because I don't want people to recognize me from this story. This story takes place in October when I had a part-time job in this research center. This was in a bigger city, not like in the middle of it, but it was a 30-minute bus ride from where I lived at the time. Keep in mind that the workplace was in an industrial estate, so the only people that really spent time in the area were the workers from these companies. I worked all 3 shifts, mornings, evenings, and nights, but I did mostly night shifts because none of my coworkers really wanted them. And I'm a night owl anyway, so that 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. shift worked well for me. This happened on one of these night shifts. It was a Thursday night, and I was one of the 3 workers there that night. We did not work together. We all were in our own departments doing different kind of work, also far from each other in the building. I worked at a chem lab doing water analysis. So it was not any kind of customer service job. We were basically all alone, and it got usually really quiet and rather peaceful. We had no security guards, but it was quite impossible to enter the building without an identification card. All doors were locked, and everyone that worked there had these cards where you hold it in the sensor on the door and it opens. You also got to use the card when leaving the building. These locked doors were not only on the outside, but also inside the building. So if someone somehow managed to get through the first door, without the card they could not get any further in the building, to the labs for example. The door locks again immediately after you get in or out. Considering that, we never had to really worry about someone uninvited getting in even in the nighttime. This particular night, I took a bus and headed to work. I greeted my coworkers that were leaving as their shifts had just ended and met the other night shifters in the women's dressing room. All normal, I was in good mood, and so were my 2 coworkers. When our shift started, we parted our ways and went to different labs. I was 3 hours into my shift at 1 a.m. when I decided to take my 20-minute break. The 2 coworkers had went to their break earlier than me, so I had to go alone this time. Our break room was this lounge where was a couple of long tables, chairs, mini kitchen, and a bathroom. I'm not gonna lie, this big hall with old flickering ceiling lights was not my favorite place to be alone at 1 a.m. when the whole building is almost empty and it's pitch black outside. There were big windows in the lounge, but I could not see anything out of them, just darkness. There was always this same eerie vibe at night time, so I was used to it. 5 minutes into my break, I decided to go outside to smoke a cigarette. I put a jacket on, took my shit with me, and opened the door with the card. We had this smoking place in the back of the parking lot, about 1 minute walk from the door. If I said I wasn't scared to be alone in an empty parking lot at night as a young girl, I would be lying. This was the only thing I really did not like about the night shifts, but I really needed that cigarette. Nothing bad had ever happened, and I live in a generally safe country, so I just hoped for the best. There was this nasty white plastic chair in the smoking place. I sat in it and lit my cigarette. From the smoking place I could see clearly to the entrance of the building. There were bright lights above the door. Usually I just stared at that door without even noticing it. I mean, it was a night in industrial estate area, and there were not many interesting things to look at. All of a sudden, I noticed a person walking up to the door. It was a man with trench coat and a top hat, holding a briefcase. I had never seen this man before, in my work or anywhere near this place. This man stood still in front of the door, not moving at all, facing the door. Even though nothing seemingly bad had happened yet, just a weird man standing by the door, I cannot even explain in words how scared I was. I had to somehow get past that man to get back inside. He doesn't know I'm there. He didn't see me. What if he does something to me when I'm trying to get inside? Is he trying to get inside? What does he want, and who is he? This was the only door where I could enter the building from outside, so I had no choice but try and ignore that man on the door and get inside. What on earth is this weirdly dressed man doing in this area at 1 a.m.? There is clearly something he wants from us, and I wasn't even sure if I wanted to know what that was. I started walking towards the man and the door, while he was still standing, not knowing I'm here in the parking lot. The closer I got, the more scared I got. I had to stop and think again. I knew it was part of my job to confront unwanted people trying to get in and tell them how to contact our customer services, but keep in mind this was 1 a.m. Weird man who appeared out of thin air and an 18-year-old girl alone. I had this gut feeling that I should not go to that door. I decided to call my coworker that was there that night and ask if she could meet me at the door and let me in, so I didn't need to face this man alone. I went and hid behind my coworker's car that was in a parking lot to make a call. I was hiding behind the car in this position where I could still see this man through the car windows. I wanted to see if he leaves and where he goes. My coworker answers the call, and when I start whispering in the phone and explaining the situation, I watch in horror as the man turns around and stares right at the car I was hiding behind. I don't think he saw me, but he for sure heard there was a woman talking behind this car. What happened next is straight from a horror film. When this man found out there is someone behind the car, he started slowly and quietly approaching me, not knowing I could see him through the window. And here's the thing, he did not walk, he did not run, he was on all fours, crawling towards the goddamn car. I couldn't even scream, I just froze from fear and the phone dropped from my hand. When this man was getting closer to the car, I see both of my coworkers opening the door, waving and screaming at me to run and come in. Did not need to tell me twice. I ran inside so fast the man didn't even have time to react. When he got up and started running after me, the door was already closed. The second he heard the door lock itself, he turned around and started speed walking away, eventually disappearing into the darkness. We called cops immediately and they came not long after. They did not find anything or anyone. That man disappeared as fast as he had appeared, and no one has seen him since. After the shift, my coworkers walked me to the bus stop and waited with me till the bus arrived, making sure I get home safely. Forever thankful to these lovely women for opening the door for me before that man got me, because who knows what could have happened.